On tonight's episode of 10 Minutes, we try to uncover the secrets of a mysterious man, Jay Gatsby. His murder is shrouded in mystery and wonder. What secrets will we uncover as we interview his former lover, Daisy Buchanan, his enemy, Tom Buchanan, and his closest friend in this world, Nick Carraway? Join us tonight on 10 Minutes. Now, before we begin with the interviews, let us explain the backstory to this case. Mr. Jay Gatsby was found one morning shot dead in his pool with his presumed killer, Mr. George Wilson, off to the side, who apparently committed suicide. The real question is not how it was done, but why. What were the causes behind it? And what was the secret life of Mr. Jay Gatsby? Find out on this episode. Joining us now is the butler of the late Mr. Jay Gatsby. He, along with Nick Carraway, found Gatsby at the scene of the crime. So, where were you the morning of the incident?
I was inside waiting for a call.
And what exactly happened?
Well, I had fallen asleep and then I heard gunshots. When I rushed outside, I saw Mr. Gatsby and another man dead by the pool.
So, who are some close friends of Mr. Gatsby?
Gatsby didn't really have friends other than Carraway, his neighbor.
Thank you for your time, sir. Joining us now is Mr. Henry Gatz, father of the late Jay Gatsby, also known as James C. Gatz. Mr. Gatz, where were you at the time of the incident?
I was out in the Midwest.
And how did you happen to find out?
I read it in the Chicago newspaper.
And can you tell us what exactly happened between you and your son?
He said I mistreated him, but when he was younger, he moved away.
And were you and him close?
Not really, but he came up 2 years ago and he bought me a nice house. I have a picture if you'd like to see.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Very grateful.
And is there anything else you'd like to tell us about your son?
He was always a little more different than all the other kids, and everyone could tell.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Gatz. That should be all. It was at this point we tried to reach out to Gatsby's former business partner, Meyer Wolfsheim, but unfortunately, he declined to comment on any aspect of the situation, whether it be Gatsby's past, their entanglements, or what they did for a living. However, due to our dedicated investigative journalists here at 10 Minutes, we found that Meyer Wolfsheim and Jay Gatsby, together, were involved in illegal activities such as bootlegging, of which brought Gatsby up to the wealth we all knew him to have. Now join us as we move on to the next interview. Tonight we have with us Mr. Jordan Baker, a lifelong friend of Daisy Buchanan and a close acquaintance of Mr. Nick Carraway and the late Mr. Jay Gatsby. So, Jordan, what do you do for a living?
I'm a professional golfer.
And how do you know Mr. Nick Carraway?
He was a close friend of mine.
And when did you last see Mr. Gatsby?
We were arguing at the hotel.
And do you know why anyone would want to harm Mr. Gatsby?
Nope.
Tonight, we have Mr. Tom Buchanan with us, local rich man and husband to Daisy Buchanan. And there's water available for you at your convenience.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Buchanan, can you tell us... Back after a small incident, we're back to the questioning with Mr. Tom Buchanan. Tom, how did you meet Gatsby?
Sorry, I was very thirsty.
It's okay. So, again, how did you meet Gatsby?
I was at a party that my wife Daisy took me to.
And did you like him?
No, I always had a suspicion about him that he was kind of messing around with my wife.
And can you tell us what your connection was to Myrtle Wilson?
I knew him because I knew Mr. Wilson because I was selling a car to him.
And can you tell us about Gatsby's connection to Daisy?
I'm not quite sure, but she seemed to be leaving the house a lot, and you know what that means.
We understand, sir. Thank you.
Oh.
I think that'll be all, Mr. Buchanan. Thank you. One more question before you go, though. What can you tell us about your affair with Myrtle? Watch closely this hidden security footage of Tom and Myrtle.
I don't know anything about that trip.
Whoa, wait.
Well, Mr.
Wait,
Buchanan,
sir,
Mr.
sir.
Buchanan.
Watch now as we witness the death of Mrs. Myrtle Wilson. Found on local security cameras, viewer discretion is advised.
Now we join Miss Daisy Buchanan outside her home in Chicago. Miss Daisy is the husband of Tom Buchanan, cousin of Nick Carraway, and former friend of Jay Gatsby. So Miss Daisy, if we can ask you some questions, when did you first meet Mr. Gatsby?
It was sometime back in high school, when we were younger.
And can you tell us about your current life now with Tom? Are you happy?
Yeah, it's great. Right where I want to be.
And can you tell us about your relationship with Gatsby? Did you love him?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, wait.
Daisy?
It's
It's
okay.
okay.
Why don't we stop the interview here?
Stop. Okay.
As you can see here, Miss Daisy became very emotional after her interview mentioning Mr. Gatsby. Now follow us as we move to the next interview. Joining us now is Mr. Nick Carraway, stock market broker in New York City, cousin of Daisy Buchanan, and great friend of the deceased Jay Gatsby.
Hello.
So, some questions for you, Nick. How did you meet Mr. Gatsby?
Well, you see, I live next door to Jay Gatsby. I actually live in the bungalow, right next to him when I first moved here, so, yeah.
And you found Gatsby on the night of the incident, right? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's very true. I was over at my house getting some sleep. Then I heard a few gunshots. I went next door and I found Mr. Gatsby dead in his pool.
And what can you tell us about the relationship between your cousin Daisy and Mr. Gatsby?
Well, as I just so found out, apparently they had a secret relationship, for about 5 years ago. I just tried to be a spectator, and they seem to be trying to get back together, even though Daisy was obviously married.
And how did you feel towards Mr. Gatsby?
He was a very good friend of mine. I consider him a good man and a very, very good friend.
He was a great man.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us, sir?
Nope.
Why are you here? I just wanted to let you know that I've had strong feelings about you.
Well,
More than just a friend for a long time.
I feel the exact same way.
I know where this is going.
Oh God.
Carraway!
So, we just saw the secret footage found. What do you have to say about that, Mr. Carraway?
Nothing. I'd like to go home now. This interview's over.
Please.
I'm out of here.
So now, as we conclude the interviews, we can begin to piece together the story. Further reviewing of the tapes show that Miss Daisy was the one driving the death car, not Gatsby. Mr. Wilson had then killed Gatsby on the pretense that he had taken his wife's life, then ended his own, thus untimely ending Jay Gatsby's life. Yet through his life and death, we tell a story of lost love, life, and a failed American dream. Thank you for watching, and this has been 10 Minutes.
Where were you at the time of the incident? Talking, yes, you can hear that.
Don't videotape me, Lacey. I'll hit you like Tom hit Myrtle. Don't turn me on good time.
Joe, shut up.
What's going on? Joe interrupted that last
What's going
scene,
on?
March, give me that look one more time.
You both did.
I'll quit.
I'll quit this
So
project.
far,
You
my
need
scene
me.
was better than your scene because you need me.
Jack will kiss anybody. We don't really need you.
Daisy, Daisy, Daisy.
Get her name out of your mouth!
Joining us now is Mr. Henry Jones. Joining us now is Mr. Tom Buchanan.
It's 50-cent wing night. And you know, gotta get my wing.
Hey guys, it's me here.
Baseball!